Hey y'all, it's Alicia and welcome back to Alicia's Crafty Hoplop. It is Saturday evening and I am back and I want to have a little chat about we wishes. Um, it was a hectic week, and for those of you that are newer to this channel or newer to my experience, you may not be aware that I am a college professor, and so I teach during the week, and right now I'm teaching in a winter term in cold weather. And normally I don't spend my winters in cold weather because it's super detrimental to my health. For anyone who lives with autoimmune, you know what a flare up is. And what basically happens is when I'm constantly in cold weather, I live in a never ending flare up. And increasing the medicine, which they've tried doing, doesn't stop it. So being here this winter and teaching this winter means that basically I'm sick every day. And they warned me about that when I made the return here. But I bravely shared with y'all I didn't have a choice. I was at risk of losing my health insurance. And because of my illness, I can't afford to lose my health insurance. I take an immunosuppressant that's like chemo. That one medicine alone can be $1,200. So not having health insurance for myself, for my husband, for my family is not an option. I'm not insurable privately because of my disease. So it wasn't an option to come back. So sometimes that means during the week that when I'm finished teaching and I'm en route home in the cold, if it's a day, I'll give you an example, like yesterday, when it's below zero here in New York, it's -5, I have no choice. Marilyn spoke about how she just wants to stay in bed and wrap herself in warmth. That's literally, I have no choice. If I don't do that, I can end up with a vasal attack that will lead to another stroke. So I try to just stay very calm, come in, I get warm, I get under the covers, I take a nap to try to get my vasal system calmed down, and a couple of hours later, with some help of medicine and some strong coffee and determination, I get back up. But that is not the reason that there is a delay in terms of why we wishes take months to go out. I'm explaining to you why it took me so long to catch up on the videos for the last 24 to 48 hours. It wasn't that I wasn't interested. It wasn't just because the hubby did this really romantic, which he did. Yesterday evening was because of the romantic part. But why I couldn't do it after teaching is because I needed to rest because of what I'm living with. So if I'm explaining this because if you're newer to this channel, then you don't know that. You don't know that in addition to working as a professor, in addition to being a writer who publishes stories and an artist who does work, I'm living with this chronic illness that actually eats into my day. So while I try very hard to comment each and every day, to respond to comments each and every day, to watch everyone's videos each and every day, and in fact, I only subscribe back if I feel I'm going to be able to full-time watch your videos. And that means watching every video. So I spend a lot of time catching up on that. Sometimes I get behind if it's a difficult week at work, if an emergency happens with my family, or I'm struggling like I am this winter. And so I've been slower than usual just because my illness has sort of kicked the crap out of me. It's just the way it is. But that is not why we wishes take longer. I think I want to repeat a little bit of something I said in January that maybe people who came on after that, or maybe they just missed that video, didn't understand or didn't know. And this might help clarify a lot for a lot of people. So I decided when Lily wanted to sponsor We Wishes and send boxes of her stash, which I thought was super generous. She was going to send me all the stuff, and then I had to figure out a way to ship it out. And after the whole thing over the holidays, I decided that I would give up my craft spending budget every month. And instead of buying stuff and hauling, I would actually use those funds to pay for the shipping. Now, I want to say my friend Jellybean Junction, God bless, and Crafty Michelle in the UK both spoke up and said, why don't we all contribute to the postage? That's just way too much money. And mostly they did that because I have international subscribers on the list. And so they know that sending like even the smallest parcel, and I mean small folks, like a parcel that we would spend $3 here to send the US can cost $14, $15 to, let's say, send to New Zealand, or to send to Australia, or to send to Singapore. And sometimes it costs a lot more, depending upon what the We Wish is. So people were concerned that that could really add up quickly. And the other reality is my monthly craft budget is not huge. So it's not like some people have a craft budget of $300 a month. Some people have it for $400 a month. Some people have it for $75 a month. Everybody has a different craft budget set. And so I have a smaller craft budget, but I decided I would use all of it for the We Wishes postage. And that I would only save and I actually got the idea from Kathy, my friend Kathy, Cats Will Create, to keep back like $20 for emergency supplies. And what are those? Those are things like glue dots, or if I run out of glue, or I need new glue for my glue gun, or any of those things. And other than that, I wasn't going to haul, and I would report if I broke it. I would tell you guys if I broke it and I bought something that I shouldn't have bought that wasn't on the declared list, right? And so I've done that. I've kept my word on that. And that's in fact why Monty and Donna did so much amazing printing for me and Pinteresting and sending me out die cuts and all these printable amazing files, was because they know that I'm not buying anything. And then I was blessed in the last month with some epic happy mail, mostly from my long-term folks who literally saw I was keeping my word. I was not hauling at all, and using all of my funds for the We Wishes. But folks, this is really important. I don't know what was the content of that email. I'm just sad someone got an email like that. It's actually not the first email like that. We did have a situation, not at the beginning of We Wishes, but a little while after it started, where one person wrote in to say, well, this person didn't grant the We Wish. Someone had agreed to grant it and hadn't. And it had only been maybe a month or a month and a half. And I just wrote back to that person and I said, listen, one, the person may have forgotten. That's life. It happens. Two, they may be saving, We Wish means that they're going to grant it to you at some point. Doesn't mean that it's going to happen in 4 weeks, 2 weeks, 4 days. They're going to send it to you when they can afford to, because they have to buy the item and then they have to pay to ship it. And as Heather pointed out, we have a lot of people living with some serious health issues who take public transportation. So it also means they have to be well enough to get out, to go and ship it, and to package it up. So there's lots of factors, folks. So in other words, if someone comes on and says, I'm granting you a We Wish, and I'm talking about someone outside of myself, I'm going to grant this for you. Can I have your address? That doesn't mean you're going to get it in 2 weeks. It doesn't mean you're going to get it in 4 weeks. It means they're making a commitment at some point over the next several months to get it to you. And in some cases, it might even be 5 months. That's sort of the spirit of We Wishes. Now, look, I'm wowed. I just said to my husband tonight, I was watching all these videos, and so many of you have all the new challenges done, and I'm in awe. I'm already, I tell you, the slowest maker, right? Heather's closing up her challenge. I have been working on Heather's challenge for months. I am just now boxing it up. Now, I clearly wouldn't have made the deadline, not because I haven't worked on it for months, but because between work and life and well wishes and illness and everything else, that's how long it's taken me. But she knows I'm supporting her, and she knew it was going to be late, and she knows I care, and it's not about me winning a prize. It's about wanting to make these things for her. So you also have to remember, so I'm odd when I see that a challenge goes up and 48 hours, a ton of you have projects ready. And I'm like, whoa, I would never be that fast. Part of it is too, I'm packaging up these We Wishes. And while I may not be doing fancy packaging for them, I showed you all Linda's package. So it's not like I'm just throwing them in a box or an envelope. I'm trying to, even if it's 2 items that you wished for, I'm trying to sort of send them in a spirit of happy mail. And so that means putting in some effort. And I'm slow. So there's that. And the fact that I only have a set amount of budget each and every month. And so I allocate a certain number of people. And most of the time I come very close to getting through those people, but not always. I just said to my husband, sometimes I go to the post office thinking that I was very careful how I packaged something, and it's going off internationally, and I thought it was going to fit the $15 cutoff, and it ends up being $24. So suddenly that's $10 out of the budget I was not anticipating it was going to cost. And so I have to drop 2 of the wishes in the States and move them to the next month. So there's lots of factors, I guess, is what I'm saying in We Wishes. This particular round, and in January, I explained all this, but maybe you missed the video. That, if your wish gets granted and it's sort of indicated by me at least or someone else, you may not get it till May, because that's how long I did a budget projection, and I figure it was going to take me from January to May to get all the We Wishes out. That was before I got Deb Hendrick's box, and before I got Ara's box, and before I got Hope's amazing package, which suddenly meant I had more We Wishes to send out and more items. So I had already projected that the budget was going to need to go until May, that I would not haul until May. That was before getting those extra items. Now it may be June or July I might need until to get everything out. I haven't done a re-budget calculation because I'm too busy packaging up We Wishes. But I also want to address one comment that was made, and not because it hurt my feelings. And I want to be clear, because the person was worried after she posted it that it hurt my feelings. So I really want to say thank you for writing to me. It didn't. I have thicker skin than this, folks. And I think it's good that if you feel something or you have questions that you address it. So please know I'm responding to it, but it's not with hurt feelings at all. It may seem to some people like, well, some people get more stuff than others. And Heather pointed out, no, this is equal. But I think we have to be really, really clear about something. There is We Wishes, like We Wishes that comes from this pool, meaning from stuff that comes from Ara, stuff that came from Hope, stuff that came from Deb. And then there's We Wishes that I'm sending personally that are separate from this. So in other words, I'm not just the person coordinating it, I'm a crafter granting wishes just like everybody else. So I might choose to do extra We Wishes for people who I see or I know personally have granted 15 wishes in a month. And so I may choose to send that to them. And you might look at that and say, well, how come that person every month gets a package from a We Wish package? What you may not know is what that person is doing behind the scenes, right? So that extra We Wishes that you're seeing being granted to that person more regularly, that's not coming from the general pool of donated items. Those are coming from me personally. That's my way personally of saying to this person that basically I really appreciate what you're doing. You're making this program really successful, and you're showering the community with tons of love, like tons. So that's my choice as an individual here, as a crafter. If I want to send, so if every month I happen to know of someone, and there are a few, who at least send out 10 to 15 We Wishes. So it may mean that, let's say out of my $20 emergency fund, I only ended up needing to use $4. So I had 16 left over. It's very likely that I will recognize those people personally by sending them something. It's very likely. But that's not the group We Wishes. That's done very equally. I have a long list of the We Wishes. I've told y'all, I go back to that page many, many times. Every time I got an extra box like Ara, or I got a box from Hope, or I got a box from Deb Hendrick, I go back and I look at it and I'm like, okay, well now I got this in, so I can gift this to this person's package. But it's going to increase the weight, so where does that fit in? And I try to juggle things around, which is why when Hope's package came in, this time I chose to show it to you and to say, please leave comments down below if you're interested in these, because now I have to rejuggle the budget and the shipping plan again. I hope this clarifies it. I mean, I think if you've only come onto We Wishes in the last month or two, you probably didn't hear that video in January where I said, folks, it's going to take me until probably May to get this done because it's expensive to ship everything out. So maybe you thought if I said, oh, I'm going to grant you that wish, that you would get it in a week, because, people here on here are fast, way faster than I'll ever be. And so maybe, you were disappointed. Maybe this email wasn't even about that. Maybe I'm saying this just so you have a better understanding of the process. I don't know what was in that email other than someone was disappointed. Another crafter got a message that someone was disappointed, I think, in them for not getting the wish out to them faster. And I was really happy that Heather sort of stepped up. And Heather is always my girl who is like ethical and amazing, and knew that I was having a really hard week health-wise, and was like, I'll just take over this. And how would you ever think you would offend me by doing that? How do you know what? We Wishes is not an Alicia program. It's a community program, right? We do this together. We grant each other's wishes together. At the extra epic things that are going out are all because of Hope and Deb and Ara. Like, that's why we have these things, because they're so fantastic. So don't ever think that you're hurting anyone's feelings by stepping up. This is a community project, not an Alicia project. But maybe people who came on later didn't catch that earlier video in January where I explained this. That, you might make a wish in January that I'm going to grant, but you might not get it until May. Just because that's the budget. That's the way the budget is. There's a limited amount of money every month to get postage out. And now that we have extra stuff, I have to sort of redo the plan and figure that out. But I will. Y'all know my husband helped initially. He did a little boost. He gave us some extra money because he wanted to get more out. And I really appreciated that. But that was a one-time thing. And I don't want to ask him again to do it because I felt that was super generous of him. And I don't want to take advantage. So, I just have to make it work. And I plan to. And so far it is working. I also want to remind you folks that a lot of people get We Wishes who don't make videos. So you might see like, oh, these 3 people got their We Wishes. Where's everybody else's? And not realize that a whole bunch of the We Wishes that were given or sent were sent to people who don't make videos. And maybe they don't even have an Instagram account. So you won't know about it. And then there are people, for instance, who just send me the most amazing email message. So I have a friend who both makes videos and Instagram, and she didn't do a video of the We Wish receiving. She just sent a beautiful note with a photograph. That was super cute. And another friend sent a photograph and a text and other things. And another person, who I don't know very well, I'm terrible on Instagram. I'm so terrible on Instagram. So I don't have a very big community there, and I don't have a big presence there. Just did a nice post saying thanks. So you may not always be aware of who's getting wishes. And I want you to remember that. This also isn't meant to be a tally card, right? So we're not supposed to be keeping running lists of like all of this. It's in the spirit of giving. Heather said it so beautifully. This was started because we discovered that some people needed die cutters. And there was a community within our community who didn't have die cutters. And I thought, well, can we fix that? And together we did. It was actually unbelievable. That's how Lily got involved. She was so moved by what happened. Everyone just kind of got together and was like, wait, you folks don't have die cutters at all? Well, we'll just work on that together. And, it may have taken months, but at the end of that time, pretty much everyone got a die cutter. We gave away more than 5 die cutters. It was unbelievable. It was actually unheard of. So while that was going on, it sort of became known that like some people needed some punches, or some people wanted used cling stamps, and some people needed trim, and some people needed this. And suddenly people started granting each other's wishes. And it was an amazing thing. And Lily got really inspired, and so did Ara. And everyone just started helping each other. And that's the spirit of We Wishes. But I want to remind you, nobody's obliged to send anything. This is a volunteer of the heart thing, and also I want to remind you that life does get in the way. There are people on here who in the recent month or two have had incredible upheavals in their lives. They've had parents with emergency surgeries. They've had children and grandchildren in hospital with life-threatening conditions. We've had people on here who themselves have had the worst recovery. We've had people that have who live with chronic illness. Sorry, that's my apple brown Betty. Who have had they've been living with a chronic problem that suddenly was no longer controlled. All these things happen in life. And so all those folks may also intend to grant wishes, but this month their lives just became chaotic because of things beyond their control. So they couldn't do it this month. They'll probably do it next month or the month after. And quite frankly, if they forget, because of what's happened, that's okay too. This was a program created without expectation. It was meant out of the spirit of love. And I know that when people get we wishes, that's exactly how it feels to get a we wish, right? Heather opened up the big bite from Pat. And I chuckled because that was on my list for Heather for this year. But, Pat beat me to it by far. And I didn't even know what the big bite was. I actually had to ask Heather to explain it to me because I didn't even know how to find it. Oh, it's a Trader Joe instant dessert in the oven. Anyway, so it's the spirit of wanting to gift someone something and to better their stash, to help them make better. That's the purpose. We all want to help each other make to the best of our abilities. We all either have extra stuff, or we see stuff on our journeys or our travels, and we want to be able to bless somebody else's life. And it's just that simple. But it doesn't, Heather's right, it doesn't come with an expiration date, and it doesn't come with an expectation. If it's received, it's a gift, it's a blessing. It's just a blessing. And people will do it when they can. As for me, my goal was to have everything out by May, but I have to now do a bit of an adjustment because Hope was amazing and so was Deb Hendrick. So we now have more stuff than we anticipated, but that's great. That's a good problem to have. So I will get those done as soon as I can. But if I don't go get those apple brown Bettys, they're going to be burned. So folks, I hope that helps clarify everything. And I hope it makes it just easier to understand why, it's taking so long, and also why maybe some months, some people might get some stuff and you're like, hey, how come they got stuff when they got stuff last month? Remember that there's community pot and there's individual. And just try to keep those two things in mind. Now, that might be hard to do, I guess, because I'm running the community. And when they do it, they might not specify like, oh, this came from Alicia personally versus this came from the We Wishes pile. All right, y'all. I hope that helped. I don't want to cancel this program. I'll tell you why. Without it, people wouldn't have had die cutters. People wouldn't have a lot of what they used to make. And for the most part, it works beautifully. So I think if we just take a pause for a minute, think about how this works, it'll continue to work beautifully. All right, gotta go get that dessert. I'll be back on shortly with a little mail. All right, y'all. Bye for now.